This episode of the Mad Rush podcast.
I couldn't go back to my job as a dental hygienist right away because of the way things were at the time. I was like, well, I have always painted as a hobby. I actually started painting hand-painted champagne bottles. That was crazy because I didn't expect the turnout to be insane, and I was booked for months and I was kind of getting burnt out after a few months of doing it. I've had a few pivots throughout my art career, so I would say 2021 is when I really started as Little Blue Designs.
Welcome to the Mad Rush podcast. I'm Trisha Addicks, the original Sorority Rush consultant. While the stories I have to share are nothing short of astonishing, this podcast goes beyond the wild client tales and sorority life. I'll be engaging with fascinating guests from both within and outside the Greek world, uncovering the surprising connections that bind us all together. Join me for a journey that's as entertaining as it is enlightening. Welcome to Mad Rush. Y'all, I am so excited. My book, The Rush Bible, is available for pre-order from Simon & Schuster. It's coming out next May, but you can order it now, and it's going to be great for anyone who's considering going through Sorority Rush. This is the book for you. You can order it today. The link is in the show notes, and it's also on my Instagram at Rush with Confidence. And I can't wait to get this great information on how to crush Sorority Rush out to all of you. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I appreciate you. So, this podcast is all about connections, and today's guest is a connection from the Southern Sea. You've heard me talk about that before, but that's a group we're both members of. And we met and we sat next to each other at dinner and became best friends. And now she is on my podcast. And Stephanie Troxler is the guest today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I don't know if y'all listening know that sometimes this is video or it's always a video. I have never watched the video because that's so cringe, but I'm hoping that the producer just shows her today because I had early morning Botox and I have not, I'm looking rough and she looks amazing. So is that one of your designs around your neck?
So this is Emily McCarthy. Remember the scarf that we got?
Yeah.
The swag, all the amazing swag. But yeah, this is Emily McCarthy's scarf. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's really pretty. I don't wear scarves, but I think that would look cute with my shirt. So y'all, Emily McCarthy is a designer who was also we were at a founders retreat in Palm Beach. It was very tough to be there and I'm still traumatized from it. Anyway, Stephanie is here for a multitude of reasons. I think she is a complete rock star and so talented. And I'm excited for you guys to listen to her story about how she pivoted and is now a full-time artist. If I'm wrong, tell me. And also super cool sorority story. So anyway, let's get started. First off, the thing to your left, is that wallpaper my left. Is that wallpaper in the panels?
So this is caning. So it's not the wallpaper, but this is actually a Murphy bed. So my studio doubles as our guest room. So this is our Murphy bed and it was so ugly and plain and white. So I decided that I had to zhuzh it up a little bit. And so I added a little trim and pretty door handles and the caning.
Yeah, it's really cool. And your wallpaper that you collab with Anthropology now, right?
Yeah.
That looks very similar, except for bigger. So, okay. So everybody's listening to us and they're like, why can we not see this? And what are they talking about? So Stephanie, tell us just a little bit of your background. We'll get into the sorority stuff later, but what you're doing and how you're doing it and where you started, all the things.
So I actually am a self-taught watercolor artist and pattern designer. And I went to school for dental hygiene. So I'm doing something completely different than what I went to school for. But I was in the dental field for about close to 10 years. And then the pandemic came around and I was pregnant with my twin daughters at the time. And so I always joke and I say I gave birth to 3 babies during the pandemic. So I had my twin daughters April of 2020. So that was like in the thick of things. I couldn't go back to my job as a dental hygienist right away because of the way things were at the time. And I was going a little bit stir crazy at home and
Yeah, we all were. That's
yeah. And everyone was trying new things. And so I was like, well, I have always painted as a hobby. I always was a creative growing up. And so I would just paint with acrylics when I had time. And I started to pick up painting again. But this time I was like, hey, I've always really loved watercolor and the aesthetics of it. And so let me just try something new because everyone else is trying something new. So I tried it and I was hooked. I loved it because you could do it quickly. You have to work with watercolor quickly because it dries quickly. So I would do it when the girls would sleep during their naps. And then when they would go to bed at night, that's kind of like my me time and just kind of like my creative outlet. So I did it more and more. And I started small with an Etsy shop. I actually started painting hand-painted champagne bottles
with watercolors?
With acrylics.
Oh, okay. I was like, whoa.
So that was crazy because I didn't expect like the turnout to be insane. And I was booked for months and people were buying them for graduations, for anniversaries, for sorority, when they would graduate from the sororities. I painted so many of those bottles, birthdays, anything, any celebration. And so I was kind of getting burnt out after a few months of doing it.
And so you were doing this in
2020, when I first was just like getting...
You were doing the bottles. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Yes. And then on the side, I had my little Etsy shop where I was doing like my watercolor art prints and little cards, greeting cards and things like that. And more friends and family started asking for watercolor. And so I actually took a course that taught me how to scan in my watercolors and digitize them so that I can create anything, like any product using my artwork.
Oh, wow.
It also taught me how to
give me an example. Like, what do you mean any product?
Like, for example, I started really small with doing my prints of my original watercolor artwork, like the 5x7 and 8x10 prints. And then I started doing tea towels that were really popular and tote bags and just like small items, gift items like that. And then that same course taught me how to take those designs and create patterns and also pitch to brands. So it gave me all of this knowledge that I didn't even think it was possible. I was like, okay, if I wanted to be an artist, I had to go to art school and I had to learn how to do all of this stuff. But I took this course and it was life-changing for me because then I really started to pick up. I left Etsy. I graduated to my own website. And at that point, I was getting more into wholesale with some local shops. And then I was kind of growing on Faire and shipping all over the country. And then I've had a few pivots throughout my art career. So I would say 2021 is when I really started as Little Blue Designs. That's when I was like, okay, an official business now.
Where did the name come from?
So blue is a color that I often paint with. You'll find it in most of my work. It's my favorite color.
Same, girl.
I knew I wanted to use the word blue, the color blue in the name. And I came up with Little Blue Designs mostly because Luna, our blue Frenchie, she's so cute. I'm obsessed with her.
Yeah, y'all, she's really obsessed with the dog.
Yes. Everyone loves Luna too. And I'm like, it's a playful, like having her face as my logo is just like, it's playful. It makes sense. She's a blue Frenchie and whimsical. So it kind of captured like the essence of what I wanted my brand to be. So that's where the name came from.
I'm really interested in so you said you started reaching out to brands. So I am interrupting you. So you're probably going to go there. So tell me about your second, so 2021, you started Little Blue Designs. So talk about the next pivot.
So the next pivot, I started small, making my own products, was getting into the small retailers locally. And then things started kind of getting busier where people were reaching out to me. I would just have connections with some of the local wedding organizer, like wedding event planners and things like that. Through social media, people would reach out and vice versa. With Gasparilla Inn, they wanted me to create some custom things for their gift shop. And so things kind of evolved from there. And then when we went to Sea Island for the Southern Sea Conference, I made connections with them when I was there. And then they wanted to do some custom work too. So I have a painting of the cloister that's in art print. It's in a stationery set and a notepad.
Wait, is that your art?
Yeah.
I've seen that. No way. Yeah. Okay.
So there's a few other artists. So I know there's another artist that does her watercolors, and hers are in there as well. But mine is like a sketch style. So it's a little bit different than my norm, but that's something that I do as well. Those storefront portraits or, architecture portraits too, in the sketch style. So that one is mine. So yeah, it kind of evolved organically and it started growing more and more. And then I chose to pivot because I was kind of in a, fork in the road. It's like, okay, I can go to Atlanta market. I can really scale this. I'll have to build a team. And what does that look like for me? Where am I at personally with my own life, with my girls and my husband? It's like, I have my 2 young daughters, so I want to be present for, and I want to do things, be involved in their school. And if I go the route of growing and scaling the business with wholesale, I'm going to be a manager and I'll be managing a team. And that's going to be like taking away from my creative time.
Right.
So I decided not to go that route. I decided to actually just put all my eggs in the licensing basket. And that's what I did. I focused on just growing that side of the business, building up my pattern portfolio, and just pitching to brands and having brands actually reach out to organically through social media.
So I'm a little fascinated by this. And I told you this before I had you on. And I have 0 memory cells. So we probably talked about this when we sat next to each other at dinner. But I'm really fascinated, and I think listeners will be too. You're partnered with some pretty big brands. How did that happen? How did you, I imagine if you're reaching out to them on social media, they're not even seeing that, right? I don't know. I'm not anywhere close to those, but I miss messages all the time, So I don't know how that works. How does that work?
It works a few different ways. So specifically, I'll go through a couple of the bigger ones. So Southern Tide, for example, they reached out to me via email, and it was through their PR company. And I received an email from this PR company, and they mentioned Southern Tide in their email. And I'm like, there's no way.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
This is 2 years ago. And I'm like, how do they even know? This can't be real. And so I call my husband over. I'm like, Bobby, come over here and read this. You think this is a scam? And he's like, I don't know. It seems pretty legit. It's a PR company. I would just at least, email back and try to find out more. And so turns out they were real, and Southern Tide was their client, and they were trying to source local artists so that they can create original artwork for one of their stores. So originally it was going to be for the Siesta Key location, and that's right by me. And then the timeline didn't work out. Their budget was over the top for construction, so they couldn't afford original art for that store. But it ended up working out even better because they were like, we have this Winter Park location that we really want to do a Winter Park map. And we want to do a 7-foot by 5-foot painting in the store. And so I was like, okay, let's do it. And that was perfect for me because I had worked in Winter Park after graduating from UCF. I was super familiar with the area, and I was like, that is super cool. So that's how that situation worked out.
That's crazy.
Yes, that was nuts. And I ended up asking the PR company, I was like, how did you even hear about me? And they're like, social media. We saw your work on Instagram.
Wow. Power of social media. Wow.
So at that point, it was 2 years ago, like I said. And so the algorithm was a little bit different than what we have right now currently. So I was using a lot of hashtags like Florida artist and like, tags and stuff like that. So that was beneficial at that time.
So are hashtags not beneficial now?
Not really.
Well, that gives me some freedom because whenever I do a post, I do hashtags and I'm like, what even is a hashtag? I don't know. I mean, so it doesn't really affect anything?
That's what he said. They came out and said Instagram, apparently it's not that beneficial. It's more if you have something in your caption, it will pick it up, like the meta universe will like pick it up and recognize whatever's in your caption. But as far as like being really focused on putting all those hashtags in, he said it's not that big of a difference.
Okay, cool. Okay, so is Luna with you? I want to see Luna. But
Luna, she's over in her bed outside. I put her out there just in case she would be like, snoring or like farting in the background. I didn't want that. So
I was on a podcast once and he had a French bulldog and the podcast was in his house and the French bulldog was literally snoring and farting the entire time. I was like, is this a normal thing? He was like, yeah, it's fine. I was like, okay, whatever. Okay. But so I had a question and then we're going to get into your cool sorority story too. When you paint acrylic bottles, because I do that for gifts, I just do it. I started painting in the pandemic too, but not like her. I mean, clearly y'all can tell by some of the people that she partners with. And when she listen to this and see her website, you're going to be like, there's the reason. So is there like a specific acrylic? Because I feel like I have to go over and over and over and over and over again, like the background so that it's not streaky.
So my trick when I was painting the bottles is that I would actually spray paint the bottle background.
Oh, game changer. So you would cover up the label?
Yes.
With what?
Little blue tape, like green tape, painter's tape, and cover up the labels and the little top, where it had the little foil and stuff. And you would cover all of that and spray paint it.
Okay, y'all, that's a game changer because I love to give that for gifts, but I'm always doing it, not last minute, but I don't have time. Like you said, I think people who do that and are actually like good at it and do it for a long time, it takes a while.
Well, guess what? There's a solution for you.
What?
Because there's a company called Bow Bottles, and I will be collaborating with them on some designs. But basically, she created a way to take a wrap for these Revuve bottles and the Lamarca bottles, and you shrink wrap it with a hairdryer, and they're beautiful patterns on the front. So I'm like, this is a full circle moment, like collab moment, because you know how I started out, but now someone figured out a way better way. And now we'll do some patterns together for spring, summer.
Nice. Oh, I can't wait for that. That's cool. But can you personalize those?
Not yet.
Not you, but yeah, I was going to. So yeah, that's a cool part. All right. Last thing about collabs and stuff that people are not tuning in for, even though it's so cool. How did you get to partner with Anthropology?
So that I cannot take the majority of the credit for because I partnered with the Sunday Social the Sunday Social Scene, who is the wallpaper brand that I collaborated with. So they licensed my patterns and we have a collection together. They were the ones that did all the legwork with Anthro, and that was their lead. And so I was just fortunate to be along for the ride. And they picked several patterns from their own in-house designs and some of the other artists that they partnered with. And they selected the caning pattern in those two colorways, the blue and the natural, to be featured on Anthro. So
cool. Yeah, I'm trying to, this wall behind me, I think I'm going to do the blue.
Yeah, it would be so pretty.
I'm going to support my new bestie.
Yay!
And also have an office that looks cool. Okay, so let's talk. So I guess it was maybe a year and a half ago, and I know she listens to this podcast, so she's going to know who I'm talking about. This woman reached out to me, and obviously this is not my wheelhouse, but sort of is. And she's like, I really want to get reinstated in my sorority. And I think at this point she was in her 40s, or I don't really know how old she was, but I know it's at least 40. And she's like, so I'm going to write a letter and I'm going to see if I can get reinstated into my sorority. And I was like, why would you want to do that I mean, I know why, but I was like, why would you want to do this at your age? And what are the benefits? So I would like for you to tell your story about like college, sorority, that kind of stuff.
So I rushed at the University of Central Florida. It was the summer of 2007.
Baby.
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember. So I remember I told you this. I prefed at 80 Pi and Chi-O and Pi Phi. Pi Phi being my favorite. I just really connected with the girls there. And I pledged Pi Phi summer of 07. And that was, I don't know if you remember, but that was a really difficult time financially for a lot of people. That was during the recession. So financial circumstances changed for me. And so unfortunately, I deferred my initiation. I was in the sorority for a few months, and then I had to make the difficult decision to leave due to finances. So that was heartbreaking, but I definitely made lifelong friendships.
I was about to say, but you still had the friendships. So yes. That's good.
Yeah, to this day, I still speak with my big and my grand big, and some of my best guy friends are from Delt through the sorority. And I loved Pi Phi, and it was sad. But, it was so weird when I would meet other Pi Phis because I didn't really know how to act, because I didn't want to say, oh, I'm a sister too, because truly I was never initiated. So I was like, I don't know. I felt like this weird limbo situation. And then fast forward many, many years later, last year, the year before, I had a friend approach me. Her daughter was going through Rush at the University of Florida. And she asked me to write her daughter a letter, a recommendation. And so I was like, well, I would love to. I don't even know if I'm allowed to. So I began digging and trying to research on the Pi Phi website, seeing what I could find. And then I came across this little tab that said Alumni Initiate Program. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. What is that? I read through it, and essentially, if you meet the criteria and you do the application, you would be considered an alumni initiate, which I had never even heard of. And so I applied, I was accepted, and not only was I accepted, but they invited me to be a guest of honor and become an alumni initiate at National Convention.
That's so cool.
So I was a special guest for their convention this past summer in Louisville, and it was great. It was me and two other women, and we went through the initiation ceremony and everything, and it was just an incredible experience. It was such a full circle moment, because here I was, in the beginning, not being able to afford being in the sorority. And then we have this happen. It was like, wow, thank you, God. Like, what an opportunity.
Yeah. So what would you say the benefits, besides being able to write recs, which probably is going to go by the wayside soon anyway, but what would you say, or has in many cases, what would you say the benefit of being initiated into a sorority at this time in your life?
Well, now I feel like I can not be an imposter. I can feel like I can truly say when I meet other Pi Phis, like, I'm an official sister, like I'm a true sister. And not only that, but I've met a lot of women who are in my local chapter here in Sarasota at the alumni chapter. And Wendy, the president, was there for my initiation, everything. She came. And they're really a great bunch of women just to learn from and be around. And just the community that we have here is great. And I'm excited to participate in their events and in their fundraisers and philanthropy and all of that. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And it is, I don't even know if I'm assuming there's a Atlanta Chi-O alum thing.
Oh, yeah.
But that's such it's just a cool group that you have, it's a way to make connection with people that you might not have otherwise. And just like any other kind of group, that's really cool. Yeah. I'm glad you did that for you. But you seem like your life is like all about the pivot and like growing and blossoming. It's really, you went from dental hygienist to artist to like complete rock star businesswoman. And like, that's really cool. I think, what does your husband say? Is he like so proud of you?
He is. And he is an amazing supportive husband. And when I have to do things and I'm on a deadline or anything, he is so proactive and helps me in our family. And he's a great support system. So I'm really lucky. And he tells me quite often that he's proud. So
yeah, that's really neat. And I love, and for people listening too, I mean, the amount of changes that you've had just in 5 years. Y'all, when I met her and I saw, first off, wait till you see her stuff. It's really special. And I'm not just saying that. It's, I love art and I look at a lot of art. I have a lot of art in my house. My podcast art was custom done, all of the things. But it's really, really, really special what you do. And I think that it's just so cool that, I would have never known that 2 years ago at the Southern Sea is when you were making the cloister connection, all that stuff. It's really impressive. And it tells me that no matter what is going on in your life or what is happening or what you think your path is going to be, that it can change and be even more beautiful and better,
Yeah.
I love that you didn't do something, and I'm not even talking about money, but you didn't do something that would have taken you in a direction that you weren't comfortable with because of your kids. I remember I was a professional photographer for a long time, and our older son had a football game. And I didn't do events, but I did portraits. But this family convinced me, it was a Saturday, they convinced me to do their child's baptism, which it was a Lutheran church. I don't really have any idea what division or if there was. But anyway, they asked me to do their child's baptism, and it took a really long time. I think it was like a 4-hour event. I was like, what is happening? Because I grew up and, baptism was like 10 minutes, So I missed his football game, and he had 4 touchdowns that game. Wow. And I remember just bawling my eyes out because I was taking pictures of another person's child while missing, which is, if you know anything about me, that is my jam, is my kids. Like so many of us out there, I was always at all their games and everything an hour before just because but that was the one time that I missed something and I literally hung up my camera. I don't know if you say that, but I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done. And I hadn't missed anything before or since, but I was like, this is just not worth it. So I love that you were able to see ahead of time. That's not, you want to be present, like you said. And it's so cool to see someone have that balance. And you are 20 years younger than me. So actually you're about to be 21 years younger than me. If you want to buy me a birthday gift, y'all, my birthday is in 17 days.
Wonderful.
I can get you a list of what I want, but no, it's very cool that you have that figured out, and you also will be open to pivoting in the future if that's what you need. Because, I've had people on this podcast and people that I know who, when their kids go to college, they're kind of lost. And I predict that will not be you, because you will have established but you've set your boundaries now is all I'm trying to say. And that's
right. Yeah, that's been super important to me, is establishing the boundaries and just having that North Star. And if just something doesn't feel aligned, then I don't do it. But I'm also not afraid to just try things out and find out. And if I don't know something, figure it out.
So imagine looking like you for the rest of the day. So what are you doing looking so good? What are you going to do the rest of the day?
So I'm actually going to go play Mahjong in a couple hours. So this will be the second lesson. I took a lesson 2 days ago for the first time.
And do you love it like everyone else?
I am absolutely hooked now. It's so fun. And the game itself is just so pretty.
Oh, it's so pretty. I went to a Mahjong night a week ago today. And it was to benefit Andy's Army, which a friend of mine she works there and she's very involved, obviously. And she hosted this Mahjong night. And there was a woman there who was set up, and she had Christmas tiles, and she has, they're gorgeous. And I was like, I don't have the bandwidth right now to learn Mahjong, but I just want to buy the tiles.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Maybe that's your next pivot, is to paint Mahjong tiles.
Well, yeah, I should try to do the tiles because Oh My Mahjong, they have my design. So the one over here that you see, it's like the bird of paradise.
Uh-huh.
The Palm Paradise mat from Oh My Mahjong is my design. So we collabed together on that design.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's cool. So great friend of mine, and she has also been on this podcast. She is at Atlanta Mahjong Mentors, and she has Oh My Mahjong stuff. So I'm going to tell her that she's got to get the Bird of Paradise set or whatever you call it.
The Palm Paradise.
Whoever's listening is like, oh my God, shut up. You have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, so when do you paint? Like, when do you find the time to do that?
That's a great question. So it's when the girls are at school. So I drop off and I come home, have a little something to eat and, do my, daily prayer and just set my intentions for the day and get started. A lot of times that changes depending on my mood. Like sometimes you're just not in a mood to create anything that day. And so I will just spend time responding to emails, getting some other work done, and then I'll just come back to it the next day. But for the most part, that is my window when I drop off the girls until I pick them up at school. I have that time.
How long, how many hours is that?
So I'll drop them off. I'll get home around 9, and then I have to leave at about 2:45 to go pick them up.
Oh, wow. Okay. So they're not in like half day. Oh, I guess not. They're 5.5.
No, they're in kindergarten right now.
I was thinking preschool. Because I used to drop my kids at, I think it was 9:30. And then I was best friends with the Walmart cashiers because because there was a Walmart near the school and that was all I had time to do. So I would go to Walmart. Now you couldn't pay me to go to Walmart. No offense to Walmart, but I'm like, whew. Anyway, I would go. Shirley was her name. Shirley was one of the cashiers that I was best friends with, and I would hang out with Shirley. I would do my grocery shopping, and then I would go pick them up. But it was not enough time to create, so that makes sense that they're in kindergarten. So yeah,
yes,
and I do totally get the not. I wrote a book and some days I would have a deadline and I would just stare at the screen. I'm like, yeah, I can't do this today. And I would go do something completely different. And then the next day I would be behind the 8 ball, but I would feel like it. So it wouldn't be like I was behind the 8 ball. Anyway, awesome. I think you're pretty amazing. So,
thanks.
And I cannot wait to get this wallpaper, y'all. It's going to be so good in my office. But okay, so tell me where people can find you.
So my website is littlebluedesignsart.com and my Instagram is littlebluedesigns.
Awesome. Y'all go check it out. You're going to be glad you did. Like I said, I mean, she is really, really special person and her art is really, really, really special and cool. And she's had some really neat collabs like we were talking about. And I love your Southern Tide stuff. All of it. It's very impressive. And I'm super glad the Southern Sea brought us together.
Me too. So glad.
Thank you for being here today and for sharing your wonderful story with our audience.
Thank you so much for the invitation. This was so fun.
So as we head into the holidays, I'm taking a break from Time Out with Trisha podcast segments. In the meantime, please follow me on Instagram at Rush with Confidence, where I'll continue sharing tips and information to keep you inspired. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Mad Rush podcast. If you are enjoying this podcast, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. For additional Rush tips, updates, and more, please follow me on Instagram at Rush with Confidence. If you would like to reach out to us or for more information, please email info@madrushpod.com. This podcast is produced by Collier Landry and Don't Touch My Radio. Copyright Trisha Addicks.